Welcome back, drum fans. For today's build, we've got this beautiful walnut and mahogany drum shell that we're ready to attach the hardware to. So I've already got the outside and inside edges rounded, and we're just ready to start attaching pieces. Let's see what we're going to be using.
So I went with brass hardware for this build. I really like the contrast between the brass and this walnut and mahogany mashup. So I went with the single point double-ended lugs that I think will look really cool on this. And then I went with the 3mm triple flanged hoops. And we have an unbranded Drum Factory Direct snare strainer over here, along with the air vent. And I did go for the Ludwig butt plate. I just like that butt plate, so I went with that one. Got an Evans Pure Sound 20 wire snare wire. And then I went with Evans heads, the G2 coated head, and the 2mm snare side head. Let's get to attaching this stuff. This is an example of why you measure twice and cut once. So that sucks. Let's see how we can fix this. Alright, so we've got all the holes drilled for the hardware. Now I'm going to dry fit it, make sure that everything lines up appropriately, and if not, we'll add it to the trash heap.
Okay, moment of truth, putting the head and the hoop on. Well, it surprises me every time that this simple mat works really well for getting these holes lined up. Another success. Our next step is to add the bearing edge. For this, I use a 45-degree chamfer bit on the inside and outside edges of the shell. The bearing edge will allow the drum heads to resonate freely when they're played.
Alright, now that I have the bearing edge cut at a 45-degree angle, it's time to add the snare bed. Now typically I will cut the snare bed from one lug to the next and start with a little bit of a shallow snare bed. I can always take off more material later, but it's really hard to put it back on. So I like to be a little bit more conservative, see how it sounds. If I need to take off more material, then I do it then. Let's get to work.
To fix my unintentional vent hole I made earlier, I've added some walnut colored wood filler and we'll sand it down. I've also added some wood filler between a couple of the staves that had a bigger gap than I cared to have.
Alright, so we're reaching the home stretch in this drum build. Really the last step here is to put a finish on the wood. I chose this natural Danish oil to put on to really keep the natural colors of the wood intact and to make them pop a little bit more. And then we'll throw a clear coat polyurethane on top, reattach all the hardware, read a comic book, and we're done.